At exactly 8 a.m., I heard the knock. Not the usual tap-tap you expect from a neighbor or the mailman. No, this was firm, intentional, like someone trying to hold back shaking hands. I opened the door, and there she was. My boss, Rebecca, standing in my doorway, no makeup, puffy eyes, clutching a coffee she hadn't sipped, her hair still damp from the shower, and then she said it. "I need to tell someone before I go completely insane. Can I come in?" I froze. For a moment, it felt like the world paused. She was recently divorced, rich, powerful, my boss, and here she was on my porch at 8 a.m., whispering words no one else had heard. I let her in, not knowing that what she was about to say would change everything I believed about kindness, trust, and the people we work beside every day. But before I take you there, let me show you how we got here. Hey everyone, I'm Mason. I'm 35, work as a product manager in a mid-sized tech firm based in Ohio, and this is the story I still can't believe happened to me. Before we dive deeper, tell me, where are you watching from? I'd love to see how far this story travels. Let me take you back to how this all started, about 6 weeks ago. It was a normal Tuesday morning. I walked into work carrying a bag of donuts for the dev team, trying to cheer everyone up because of the massive deadline pressure we'd been under. I've always been the kind of person who notices when people are burning out. That morning, I saw Rebecca walking out of her office, sunglasses on indoors, head down. She never looked like that. And for the first time, I offered her a donut. She stared at the box like it was a foreign object, then she blinked and smiled. "Thanks, Mason," she said softly. "Nobody ever brings me anything." That moment stuck with me. It wasn't much, just a donut and a smile, but from that day on, something changed. Rebecca started stopping by my desk more, not in the flirty way, not at first, just talking, asking about projects, asking how I was, bringing me coffee once or twice. I chalked it up to post-divorce loneliness. But then came the company offsite. We all drove up to this lakeside resort, a team-building thing. Bonfires, hiking, dumb icebreakers. That night after the campfire, I was sitting alone by the dock when Rebecca walked up with a blanket and sat next to me. "I hate being around people when I feel fake," she said. I nodded, unsure what to say. Then she added, "You ever feel like everyone expects you to be strong, but inside you're drowning?" I remember looking at her, not the boss, not the woman who wore heels that echoed through the office halls, but a tired, hurt human being. And I just said, "All the time." She didn't speak after that. We just sat in silence, sharing the moment. When we returned to the office that week, things didn't go back to normal. She started calling me into her office more often, even for things that didn't need my input. She once asked my opinion on a design layout, even though I wasn't in UI. Once, she asked if I was dating anyone. I shrugged. She smiled. It started to feel strange. One Friday, I got home from work, cracked open a beer, and just when I sat down, I saw a car stop in front of my house. A black SUV. It was Rebecca. She didn't come out of the car, she just sat there, parked, for nearly 10 minutes, then she drove off. The next Monday, she acted like nothing happened. I didn't bring it up. Maybe I should have. Fast forward to the day before that morning knock, the day of her divorce settlement. I didn't say anything at work. She came in, hair done, wearing her signature white suit, and walked straight into her office. Around lunch, I dropped a sticky note on her desk. "You survived worse, you'll survive this too, M." She didn't acknowledge it, at least not then. But that night, something happened, something I didn't see coming. At around 11 p.m., I got a message. It was from an unknown number. "Thank you, I read your note like 10 times. You have no idea what that meant." I didn't reply. I thought about it though, all night. And then the next morning, 8 a.m., the knock came. Rebecca in sweatpants, hair damp, clutching her coffee like a lifeline. And her words still echo in my head. "I need to tell someone before I go completely insane." I stepped aside and let her in. She walked to my living room, sat on the couch, and stared at the floor. I offered her a blanket. She took it without speaking. Then she whispered, "He lied to everyone, to the lawyers, to me, but it's what he did to you that made me come here." "Wait me." I froze. "What are you talking about?" I asked. She looked up. Her eyes were glassy. "Todd didn't just cheat on me, he tried to ruin you." She said he tried to ruin me. I just stood there, frozen, staring at Rebecca like she'd grown two heads. My boss, the woman I reported to, the woman who just finalized a high-profile divorce, the woman who showed up at my house at 8 a.m., was now telling me her powerful ex-husband had something against me. I sat down slowly on the edge of the chair across from her. My mind raced. "What do you mean?" I asked carefully. She took a deep breath and looked down at the untouched coffee in her hands. Her voice was low, shaky, almost like she didn't believe the words she was about to say. "Todd's not just bitter," she began. "He's dangerous, manipulative, and when I told him I wasn't going to take him back after the affair, he didn't just try to get even with me. He wanted to destroy everything and everyone that reminded him of his failure." I frowned, "But I've never spoken to him. I don't even know the guy." Rebecca nodded. "That's the thing, you were kind to me. When no one else in the office treated me like a person, you did. Todd knew that. He got into my phone, Mason. He read messages, saw names, even your sticky note." I blinked, confused. "Wait, he saw that? That wasn't even a message, it was a..." "He saw it," she said sharply, "and it pissed him off, because I smiled after reading it. He used to say I was stone cold. That day, he said, 'I see someone's melting the Ice Queen.'" The room fell into a thick silence. I rubbed my hands over my face, trying to process this insanity. Then she dropped the bomb. "He contacted HR and accused you of misconduct." My stomach dropped. "What?" "Yeah," she said quietly. "Anonymous complaint. Said you were trying to start an inappropriate relationship with me, that you were showing up to my house, harassing me." I sat back, stunned. No, that's insane." "I know," she said, her voice trembling. "He used an alias, but I recognized his writing. The way he phrases things. I've been married to the guy for 10 years, I'd know his words anywhere." I could feel the blood draining from my face. "Did HR believe it?" Rebecca shook her head. "I shut it down, told them it was bogus. Said I trusted you, but Mason, this isn't just about an email, he was watching." I felt a chill crawl up my spine. "Watching like what? Like following me?" She nodded slowly. "He knew you lived on Mayfair Street. He mentioned the name of the bar you go to every Thursday after work with the guys. He knew about the blue keychain on your car keys." My heart pounded. I suddenly felt exposed, like my entire life had been observed from the shadows and I had never noticed. "I should have told you earlier," she added, "but I didn't want to scare you. I didn't think he'd escalate. I thought once the divorce was final, he'd back off." "And now..." Her lips tightened. "Now I think he's just getting started." I didn't realize I was gripping the edge of my seat until I felt the ache in my hands. This was way beyond anything I expected. I thought maybe she came over to talk about feelings, loneliness, maybe even a confession of attraction. But this. Now I was part of a revenge plot I hadn't signed up for. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked. "Why this morning?" She swallowed and looked me dead in the eyes. "Because last night someone broke into my garage and nothing was stolen except one thing." I waited, barely breathing. "The only picture I had of you, the one from the company off-site. The one where we sat near each other by the dock." I felt a wave of nausea. "You think he did that?" "I know he did," she said, "and I think he's planning something, I don't know what, but I had to warn you before it's too late." I stood up, packing. My quiet life, the one filled with spreadsheets, happy hour drinks, and solo Netflix nights, was suddenly turning into a bad thriller movie. And the worst part, I believed her. Rebecca wasn't dramatic. If anything, she was the calmest, most composed person I knew. The idea that she was panicked enough to show up at my door in her pajamas meant something was seriously wrong. I don't know what to do, I said. She looked up at me. We keep it between us. No one at work can know. HR will panic. And Todd, if he realizes we're talking, he'll double down. I took a shaky breath. Do I need to call the cops? She shook her head. Without proof, there's nothing they can do, but I have a plan, a risky one, but if you help me, we can end this. I stared at her. What kind of plan? But before she could answer, my phone buzzed. I picked it up, unknown number, a text message. She lies, she always lies. Ask her what really happened in San Francisco. T. My fingers trembled. I turned the screen to her. Rebecca. Her face went pale. Oh God, she whispered, he knows I'm here. I ran to the front window, pulled the curtain aside, and saw the black SUV. Parked just across the street. That's the moment I realized this wasn't just about office drama. It was something far deeper, something darker. And now I was in the middle of it. The night before all of this happened, I'd actually been at my parents' house for dinner. They'd been trying to cheer me up ever since the breakup with Laura. My mom made her famous meatloaf. My dad kept talking about some football game I hadn't watched. Life was simple then. That evening, my younger sister, Olivia, asked me if I was seeing anyone. I laughed it off, said I was married to my job, typical older brother nonsense. I remember thinking how lucky I was to have a boring life. How naive I was. Back at work, things had started to feel tense even before Rebecca's visit. I'd noticed people whispering, watching me. Some days, I'd come in and find my chair moved, my desk slightly shifted. I thought I was imagining things. Now I wasn't so sure. Rebecca told me Todd had access to systems, that he'd paid someone inside our company before to spy on board meetings during the divorce. He was manipulative and smart, two things you never want in an enemy. She told me something else, too. He hated losing, more than anything. He once ruined a man's company, she said, just because the guy beat him at poker. We sat in silence after that. Until I finally spoke, so what's the plan? She looked up. You go to work like normal, act like nothing happened, I'll handle the rest. That's not very reassuring, I muttered. She gave a small smile. I didn't say it would be. Just then her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen, her expression unreadable. Then she stood up. I have to go, she said. To where? To finish something I started in San Francisco. My stomach turned. That's what he mentioned in the text, what happened in San Francisco. She hesitated. I made a deal, a bad one. It's what started all of this, but I'll tell you everything soon. She started for the door. Rebecca, wait, I said. Why me? Why come to me with all of this? She paused. And for the first time since I met her, I saw tears in her eyes. Because you're the only person who ever looked at me like I was human. And then she was gone. I stood there staring at the door, mind racing with questions, fear, and confusion. Then I turned back to my phone. Another message. From the same unknown number. Don't trust her, Mason. San Francisco was the first time she lied. It won't be the last. I stared at the screen. What the hell happened in San Francisco? And why did I feel like I'd just been pulled into something I couldn't escape? The next morning at work, everything looked normal. The buzzing of keyboards, the chatter near the coffee machine, but I could feel it, something was off. Rebecca didn't come in. HR called me in for a routine check-in. They asked if I was happy at work, if I'd experienced any issues. I played it cool, smiled, said everything was fine. But when I returned to my desk, a sticky note was on my chair. Just 5 words. He knows where you sleep. I spun around, scanning the room. No one looked up. That's when I realized this wasn't just Rebecca's war anymore. Now it was mine too. And I had no idea who I could trust. The sticky note said, "He knows where you sleep." 5 words. 5 tiny words written in neat, clean handwriting that changed the way I looked at every single person in that office. I stood frozen beside my desk. My brain tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was a prank, maybe someone was just messing around, but no one knew what was happening between Rebecca and me, no one but Todd. And Rebecca hadn't shown up to work that morning. That part scared me more than the note. I checked my phone, no messages, no calls, not even a "don't panic" text. She just vanished after that dramatic exit the morning before. I grabbed the note and shoved it into my pocket. I had to play it cool. If he really was watching me, whether directly or through someone else, I couldn't give him the satisfaction of seeing me rattled. But inside, I was shaking. I sat at my desk, opened my laptop, and pretended to work. But I wasn't doing anything. My mind was racing with questions. What really happened in San Francisco? Why had Todd targeted me? What was the truth Rebecca hadn't told me? And most importantly, where the hell was she? The next 12 hours were a blur. I stayed at the office until late, not wanting to go home. I didn't feel safe. I kept replaying the moment Rebecca stood in my living room and told me her ex-husband, a man I'd never spoken to, had tried to ruin me just for being kind to her. I left the office at 8:30 p.m. The building was nearly empty by then. Only the janitor and a few developers remained. As I walked to my car, I couldn't shake the feeling I was being watched. I checked over my shoulder more than once. Nothing, just shadows and parked cars. But still, I knew better than to ignore my gut. When I got in my car, I found a business card on my windshield. Plain white. No name. Just an address, handwritten. 319 West Elm Street, 11 p.m. That was 30 minutes from now. I stared at it for a long time. Then I picked up my phone to call Rebecca, still no response. I sat there in the parking lot, debating whether I should go. Logic screamed no. Curiosity whispered yes. I decided to follow the whisper. 319 West Elm Street was a quiet, dimly lit commercial area. Most buildings were closed for the night. A few had flickering signs, but otherwise it was deserted. The address led to a 2-story brick building with a faded barber shop sign hanging above the door. The windows were tinted. I knocked. No answer. I tried the handle, unlocked. Inside it was dark, silent. I almost turned around until I saw her. Rebecca. Sitting in the back room, wearing all black, hoodie up, no makeup, her eyes locked on me the moment I stepped in. You came, she said. No thanks to your disappearing act, I replied. Where have you been? She gestured for me to sit across from her. A single lamp lit the table between us. I've been meeting with someone, she said. Someone who knows what Todd did in San Francisco. Someone who's finally ready to talk. I leaned forward. What did he do? Rebecca closed her eyes like she needed a moment to prepare. 2 years ago, she began, Todd and I were in San Francisco for a tech conference. He was trying to secure a merger with a smaller company. I found out that he'd been falsifying numbers to inflate our valuation. My jaw clenched. He asked me to sign off on it, she continued. Said it was a one-time thing, that no one would find out. I refused. Then what happened? He locked me in the hotel room. I stared at her, stunned. What? Took my phone, cancelled all my meetings, said if I tried to expose him, he'd leak a fake affair about me and destroy my career. He had photos, doctored, but they looked real. I was speechless. She looked away. That's when I realized who I married, but I stayed quiet. I thought I could wait it out, that I'd divorce him cleanly and move on, but he's not the type who lets go. And now he's dragging me into it, I said bitterly. Yes, she said, looking me in the eye, because you're the first person in years who reminded me what real kindness looks like. He sees that as a threat. I sat back, overwhelmed. So what's your plan? Because this guy is clearly dangerous. She pulled out a folder from under the table. This is everything, emails, documents, proof of what he did. I've been collecting it in secret. Why haven't you turned it in? Because I needed one more piece, the proof that he used company funds to bribe someone on our HR team. I felt sick. He's everywhere, I whispered. Yes, she said, but now so are we. What do you mean? I went to an investigative journalist, she said. She's waiting. Tomorrow morning we meet. If we give her the folder, the story goes public. And if he finds out, he'll panic, try to bury it, maybe worse. That's why I needed you to know everything. You deserve to choose whether you help me or walk away. I didn't answer right away. I thought about my quiet life, my family, my safety. But I also thought about that day by the lake, the donut I gave her, the moment I saw the real her behind the cold exterior. And I thought about the sticky note on my chair. He'd already decided I was part of this, so I might as well finish it. I'm in, I said. Rebecca looked relieved. Thank you, Mason. Just then, a sound. A click. Like a door being opened softly. We both froze. She grabbed the folder and shoved it into a hidden compartment in the wall behind her. I killed the lamp. We crouched behind the desk. Footsteps. 2 of them. Someone was inside the building. I felt my heartbeat in my throat. Rebecca mouthed, "Back door." We crawled through a side hallway, then slipped into an alley. Behind us, the front door creaked open. We didn't stop. We ran. I didn't go home that night. Neither did she. We booked separate rooms in a small roadside motel outside the city, burned phones, paid in cash just to be safe. At sunrise, we met in the parking lot. She handed me the folder. You take it, she said. If he catches me, at least it won't be all in one place. You think he'll try something? I asked. She nodded. I know him. We drove separately to a diner in the city, where the journalist, her name was Claire Jenkins, was waiting in a corner booth. Claire was sharp, late 30s, red hair tied back, laptop open. She listened as Rebecca laid out the story, showing the documents, the timeline, the cover-ups. Then Claire turned to me. Why are you involved? I told her everything, the donut, the notes, the break-in, the texts. She listened carefully, then said, He's watching you both, you know that, right? I nodded. I'll run the story, she said, but once it's out, there's no going back. Rebecca looked at me. We both said yes. That night, I went back to my apartment for the first time in days. I expected silence. What I found instead was a broken lock. Someone had been there. My place was a mess, drawers pulled, couch cushions slashed, my laptop gone. But the strange thing, nothing else was taken. No money, no valuables. Just anything that could link to Rebecca or the files. I called her. She didn't answer. I tried again. No response. I got in my car and drove to the motel. Her room door was wide open. Inside, chaos. But no Rebecca. Only one thing was left behind. A phone. Not hers. A burner. It buzzed. One message. Come alone or she disappears. T. Attached was a GPS location. An old warehouse on the outskirts of town. I didn't think. I didn't plan. I just drove. 30 minutes later, I was standing outside a rusted warehouse with my heart pounding out of my chest. I walked in slowly, hands raised. "Todd," I shouted, "I'm here." The place was empty. Silent. Then a spotlight hit me. I squinted and heard the voice. "Isn't this dramatic?" he said, stepping out from the shadows. Todd Miller. Exactly as Rebecca described him, polished, cold, confident. He clapped slowly. "You really are as noble as she said." "Where is she?" I demanded. He smiled, "Safe for now." "What do you want?" "To offer you a deal." He stepped closer. "Walk away, tell that journalist you made it all up. Say Rebecca was unstable, invented it all, do that, and I let you both live your quiet little lives." I stared at him. "And if I do?" He tilted his head. "You won't like the alternative." I looked around, no Rebecca in sight, no idea if she was even here. "Let me see her," I said. He nodded to someone in the shadows. And then she appeared. Tied to a chair, bruised but alive. My blood boiled. I took a step forward, but Todd raised a hand. "One word, just one, and she goes away for good." "You're insane," I said. He smiled wider. "Maybe, but I always win." I reached into my pocket and pulled out the recorder. Already running. He froze. "What is that?" "The story's already live," I said. "Claire published it 30 minutes ago. Everything, the emails, the money, your voice, it's over." He lunged at me. But before he could reach me, police sirens, lights, dozens of officers swarmed the building. He turned to run, too late. They tackled him to the ground. I ran to Rebecca, cut her free. She looked at me, eyes wide with disbelief. You did it." I smiled. "We did." 6 weeks later, Todd was indicted on multiple counts of corporate fraud, harassment, and attempted kidnapping. Rebecca testified against him. So did I. Claire's article went viral. It exposed a web of corruption that went deeper than anyone expected. The company cleaned house, new leadership, new policies. Rebecca resigned and took time off to heal. As for me, I didn't go back to my old role. Instead, I started something new. A non-profit focused on corporate accountability. Rebecca joined the board. We never dated, not like that. But we became something stronger, real friends. People bound by fire. And every morning, when I walk into my new office, I remember that day. 8 a.m. The knock. The confession. The moment everything changed. And it all started with a donut and a little kindness. Thank you for listening. If you were moved by this story, drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. And remember, you never know what someone is going through. Be kind. It matters more than you think.